This is You've Already Been Hacked, recorded on
10 October 2025. Welcome back to You've Already Been Hacked. This week, well, you can see the professor is dressing down a little bit, but there's a reason behind it if anyone knows what the logo is on the t-shirt. But first, Cowboy, happy Friday, sir.
Happy Dress Down Friday. I did
Down
not
Friday.
dress down. I have a digital persona here to ensue. Although I will say, animes, please, a bolo tie. For the love, I will pay you $5 for a bolo tie. Let me get it through. But I'm not terribly unhappy with the look. The digital cowboy virtualized look is not too shabby.
No, this is quite dapper, quite dapper.
He is. Not to
All
the
right,
professor's level, but you know.
Well, you know,
no complaints.
I've been virtualized for quite longer. I am definitely part of the grid at this point.
Yeah.
There's another current pop culture reference for everybody. Okay, in our top story related to the professor's t-shirt, Discord security breach has exposed government ID photos of 70,000 users. A third-party customer support provider that works with Discord was compromised, leaking personal data of users who had communicated with trust and safety teams. The breach exposed not only usernames and email addresses, but also government ID photographs for roughly 70,000 users. Discord has released no official statement beyond acknowledging the incident and noting that it was not an internal system compromise. The leak raises serious concerns about how third-party vendors handle sensitive user data, especially when that data includes biometric or ID imagery. This matters, Cowboy, because the incident underscores the expanding threat surface that comes from delegated customer support functions to external partners. Even if the primary platform, in this case Discord, remains secure, a weak link in its value chain can expose, in this case, tens of thousands or millions of its users to identity theft and phishing. The fact that government ID photos were included amplifies the risk of data mining, blackmail, and sophisticated fraud. What you should be doing if you use Discord, such as we do here in the Digital SOC, well, 1, review any third-party services you use to handle your user data, especially if you're the provider. Those that have direct access to sensitive information should be your priority. You should conduct fresh risk assessments of all vendor agreements and enforce strict data handling and encryption requirements. If you run a platform where users have to submit ID, and this is going to be far more relevant here in the immediate future, not especially for our friends in the UK, add an additional verification step, something like two-factor or AI-based fraud detection, and consider a proactive incident response drill that includes third-party breach scenarios so your team can react quickly if a partner is hit. And if you're a user and your data is in the wind, well, I guess you get some more credit monitoring. Cowboy?
User. What a perfect word to use with the new Tron movie coming out. I can't wait to see it. This is almost becoming a little tiresome, right? Like,
Yeah.
third party. Like, okay, hey, if you don't know where the weakest link is, people, it's the third party stuff. This blind trust that too many companies seem to have. Maybe I'm wrong. It just seems that way, right? And then government IDs. You want to talk about a gold mine to do really sophisticated spear phishing, blackmail, identity theft. Oh my gosh, that's some keys to the kingdom right there.
So, a couple things on that. 1, this made me immediately think about all the age verification, the ID verification that's going on now in the US and overseas in certain countries, especially in the UK, but you have to prove your identity to use certain services online. And some of those services are behind age verification checks now, right? For those in the audience, there are specific ones, but I'm not just referencing those. But that means that you are giving somebody, in most cases, an image of your government ID. And if that's what we're doing and this is what's happening, this system is already set to fail horrifically if it was to be broad and universal across the board. That's my first thought, which is horrifying. My second thought is, you're right. It is the third parties that have this. That third party risk management is failing. And I wonder if it's failing not because the third parties shouldn't be trusted, but is there a rush to market, as it were, and it's better to have something go and take the risk than to not. And this is what's biting companies in the butt right now. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's a rush and a non full understanding of the risk, right? So I think the companies are looking at like a frontline brochure where third party is like, here's why we're so secure, and they're like, cool, do it, right? And then next thing you know, oh, they were full of crap. Oh, they were uh, blowing smoke, right?
Well, even if they
And
weren't, right? I mean, I think that this rush to get into market is really a problem. And I think part of this is really, especially with the government ID and biometric verification part, this is the nation state's fault, honestly. Because there's a rush for ID and verification online, because no one likes that no one knows if you're a dog on the internet, which is still a truth. They want to stop that, but they just want it to stop. So do whatever you have to do and get it working today. Otherwise, you're going to be put out of business or not allowed to function, without actually thinking through what the ramifications of a breach of that magnitude is actually going to cost people. That's my 2 cents.
yeah, I think it'd be great. We as a society have to come up with a better, safer way other than just even state issued IDs, because even those aren't really cutting it, and there's too much information on there that is required to do all these types of attacks and thefts and everything else. I even read today that somebody had an ID issued that said, uh, what did it say? No first name or no name available or something ridiculous. Where I was like, I can't believe they even wrote that on an ID, right? But uh, th- yeah, there's better ways. I don't know if we're to chip implementations yet, but these state issued IDs aren't cutting it.
Well, I mean, now also with and while I think Apple does a decent job, I may have a little foot and mouth in that. The digital IDs or digital driver license feature that they're allowing into iPhones, I think should be concerning. I'm not saying that it's a full blown risk, but I would still carry my physical ID with me, one. And two, you're just now exposing more of your PII. You're not exposing it, you're providing an additional attack surface for it to be stolen,
Yes.
regardless of how actually secure it could be. It's just another layer that you have to worry about protecting. And I don't think people in general are going to actively think about that concern. They're going to care about the feature and the ease of use.
Ease of use, ease of access. That's all the general public tends to care about. And unfortunately, in today's world, that is just not good enough.
Isn't that true?
But accept the risk.
Accept the risk. Okay. At Okta's Identity Security Fabric event at the which is called Oktane, there were 3 insights that we wanted to go over tonight. So, Okta unveiled its Identity Security Fabric at its 2025 conference, moving beyond traditional IMA to holistic frameworks that blend identity with data-centric security controls. The focus was on agentic AI governance, which that's a good thing that it's governance, using large language models to automate identified decisions with explicitly auditing and limiting the model's autonomy. Something that I think the Cowboy and I have talked a lot about in one way or another. The session highlighted new policy-driven access controls, continuous authentication, and a unified API, scary, that lets administrators roll out identity changes across all services faster than ever. Also scary. This matters because as enterprises push AI into production, identity becomes the gatekeeper for every data-driven workflow. And Okta's Fabric demonstrates how to embed AI governance directly into its identity controls, reducing the risk of rogue model decisions and providing auditable lineage for compliance. Overall, I think that's a good thing. I mean, I can't think off the top of my head of an example where AI governance has been forefront of the conversation at a major event. And the fact that it was here, at least for Okta, I think is a good thing. I think that discussion should be happening more, and that they're actually rolling something out that does that, I think is a net positive. Cowboy, thoughts?
It is. And the professor said IMA, he meant IAM, Identity and
Thank
Access
you. Friday
Management.
nights.
It is Friday.
Identity access management, yes.
We have had a busy week, but yeah, yes, you really hit the nail on the head with the fact that this is really the first big thing that I think you or I have seen where AI governance was really in the title, in the highlight, at the forefront of what they're doing. And
Yeah.
I think lately we've been pounding that table like, hey, stop with the just, especially agentic AI, right? Like, stop with the blind trust. There's got to be governance, guardrails, um, explicit auditing, limiting the autonomy. I mean, that's all things that you and I have talked about.
Absolutely.
And so I would love to learn a little bit more about what it means outside of, what we read and what we're saying, but like what really is their governance? I sure love to get a look. But thank you for putting it at the forefront. Really
yeah,
needed.
absolutely. And again, I don't believe, Cowboy, I do not have any relationship with Okta. I just think this is this is one of those good news stories. Like, someone has actually taken seemingly a pause or saw an addressable concern in the market, whichever way you want to describe it, and said, this is something that's absolutely needed.
Yes.
Now, whether or not, caveat as always, whether or not Okta and the way Okta is doing it will be the one that is successful, I have no idea. But the fact that they're bringing it to the table and I would say forcing the conversation to occur is the net positive, because now other companies that are definitely in the same identity access management space are going to bring this up. And I think that that can only be a good thing as long as it's not a rush to market and an MVP. MVSP, right? That's what we need, an MVSP, not just an MVP.
Yeah.
And to your point on guardrails,
good. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
I was going to say, Okta's a major player in the IAM world, right? So it's not just somebody came to the forefront. It's like a major player brought it to the forefront, and that will just help drive the goodness, hopefully.
I agree. And I was going to say, to your point on guardrails and limiting autonomy and stuff. So there's a piece of agentic AI automation that I'm working on, where in the output, we are forcing the output to include the level of confidence, percentage-wise, that the large language model that we've chosen to use, it's applying a level of confidence to its own answer based on the data set that it was provided. So it's not the confidence level, if I could try to describe it to folks, is it's not a confidence in what the data said. It's how confident the LLM is in its ability to assess the data. And it cites not just the particular piece of data, it cites line by line its response in that particular question or query. So the example being, this control here is I'm assessing as met. I am assessing my confidence level that it is met is 75%. Here is my reasoning. Here is where I'm referencing inside the document at line 52 through 54 as to why I'd made that decision. That's kind of what we've done to do some of that healthy auditing that you've taught, so that some human can go in and assess whether or not well, that's not even in the document, or, well, that confidence level is not high enough for my comfort level. We should go and actually review that particular thing because the AI doesn't think that it's confident enough in its ability to make that assessment. And I think that's really the right way to do it, right? It's helping to speed up the process, and it's providing the ability to have a human in the loop response to review and go, well, it thinks it's 90% confident. That's probably good enough. Or it says it's 65% confident. That's probably not good enough. We should go look at that and see why it couldn't do that. And it could be for any number of reasons, right? It could be maybe the data was obfuscated, maybe it wasn't clear, maybe there, a human would read that and interpret it differently. Like there's all those type of possibilities, but that's the check, right? And I don't know that a lot of implementations are considering that type of balancing act when they're going out there right now. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great and what a great thought, right? Someone smart that can go in and program the how does the AI feel about what it's putting out, and then that triggers the human in the loop aspect.
Yeah,
that's good food for thought for people.
Human in the loop. Everyone that is listening has to consider that. I understand this. We want to work at speed, but if human in the loop is left out of your workflow, you really have to ask yourself, how confident are you that the AI is producing legitimate, accurate, non-hallucinated, relevant results for its workflow every single time. And if you have any doubt in that, and you do not have a human in the loop to do checks, you are doing it wrong, at least today in October 2025.
In our humble and correct opinion.
I agree with the second part, maybe not the first. All right. In our next story, NetApp INSIGHT, preparing the next generation enterprise storage and AI resilience. What to expect during NetApp's INSIGHT. Join theCUBE on October 14th, just 4 days from now. NetApp's INSIGHT event showcases a new data-centric storage platform designed to support AI workloads while delivering cyber resilience. The platform introduces a disparaged architecture that separates compute from storage, along with built-in ransomware protection, which is good, via continuous snapshots and AI-driven threat detection. Key announcements include a new data fabric API that lets customers orchestrate cross-cloud storage security policies automatically. This matters because AI workloads are growing at an exponential rate, and the value of data and the need for resiliency is increasing at the same or faster rate. NetApp's approach aligns storage with data-centric security, ensuring that AI pipelines are protected by default encryption, immutable backups, and automated threat detection, reducing the attack surface for ransomware. What you should be doing because of this, well, take a look at what NetApp is doing. But if you don't use immutable backup or have immutable backup policies, this should be something you should be really looking into. Because if your backup gets compromised, then anything you have from your live data to your recovery is compromised. If you have an immutable backup, the likelihood of your recovery from a ransomware event or a destructive event or a disruptive event is exponentially higher. Cowboy?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, right? Like, you have to have a backup that can't be tampered. You also have to be able to do good incident response to know that your backup hasn't been backed up with the ransomware already on it, or malware, or whatever the attack malicious software is. You got to make sure that didn't get backed up into your backup. However, yes, it has to be. I think it has to be immutable. Like, that's today's days and age. Like, it's a must. It's a non-negotiable fact.
Agree. 100% agree. Even here in the digital SOC, I have multi-tiered backups occurring, and I do subscribe, as always, to the 3-2-1 model, right? 3 copies of your data, 2 backup copies, and 1 live copy. right? Your backup copies should be in 2 different locations as well. So I have an on-site backup server that does daily backups for some items, weekly backups for others, and monthly backups for others, depending on what the value of the information is or the churn rate or anything like that, right? And that happens locally. And then I also use an off-site backup solution as well, to ensure that the most relevant data is in 2 spaces, right? So not all of my Linux ISOs, as one would say, but stuff that would be far, far more difficult to recover if it was lost. And if you're not backing up in such a way, or your provider, or at least one of those copies is not immutable, like mine is, then yeah, you definitely should be taking a look at that, because you want to make sure that you're able to get back online regardless of the event. If you want to be extra savvy, not only should you have an on-site and off-site backup, your off-site backup should also be regionally disparate from where you are. That way, if whatever was to occur is a regional event, the likelihood that a copy of your data will remain intact is much, much higher. Cowboy?
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think a lot of this problem boils down to so many companies and agencies and take your pick don't still today don't understand their data flow, and really what's important and what isn't, to the granular level it needs to be, which they really need to get after. So best of luck.
Yes. Okay. Well, we've had a couple of good news stories, so let's go back to the bad. Hackers are using the Velociraptor DFIR tool in ransomware attacks. Cisco's Talos researchers discovered that threat actors are repurposing Velociraptor, a legitimate digital forensics and incident response platform, to orchestrate LockBit and Babuk ransomware campaigns. By embedding Velociraptor's data collection pipelines inside the malware, attackers can exfiltrate system evidence. This includes event logs and memory dumps, for example, while the tool reports back to the attacker's command and control infrastructure. The use of a trusted DFIR tool complicates attribution and makes incident containment harder because defenders may mistakenly treat the data collector as being benign. This matters because this is yet another escalation and blurring of the line between legitimate security tools and malicious use, exemplifying the security tool abuse trend, or just the legitimate tool or legitimate application abuse trend, right? We've talked about GitHub and other items over the past several weeks. Once attackers can mimic or co-opt trusted DFIR platforms, defenders lose the advantage of a watch list and must adopt stricter monitoring around all forensic agents. So if you are using Velociraptor, and even if you're not, you should be paying attention. You should be auditing all of your DFIR or monitoring agents on your network. Ensure that they run only from trusted sources and have valid signed certificates, because a signed certificate is only good as its validation. Implement behavioral monitoring and detect anomalies in agent activity. Unexpected data exfil would be something to be looking for, and harden the network perimeter around any remote management or DFIR traffic, enforcing strict egress controls. Fun, Cowboy.
Yeah, I don't know if my mic picked it up, but I kind of laughed because, I mean, signed certificates, they're one step in the battle, but as we all know, in this world, they can be manipulated, faked, and everything else, or signed maliciously by approved users, which is something. So, fun fact: Cisco Talos assesses with medium confidence that the Chinese-based adversary known as Storm 2603 could be behind this attack. It's Storm 2603 because some think they're related to APT 27, who is Emissary Panda, APT 31, which is Judgment Panda. Irregardless of which panda is involved, pretty sure it's Chinese bad guys. And man, I know a lot of companies and government people that use Velociraptor, so that is fairly nerve-wracking. that
Yeah.
our forensic and incident response tool, dare I
I
say
wouldn't
a
want to say a de
leader,
facto, not de facto
a
standard, but
major
pretty
player,
high. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
a fairly higher up player. Uh, Yikes!
Yeah.
Yikes!
That's trouble because again, now it's the attack surface of the tool being used, right? It's the same thing like I brought up, like with GitHub or something else. It's just or NPM, the NPM packages being infected with malware. We've talked about that too. This is just another example of this widely adopted standard, quote unquote standard, um, that is now being used as an attack vector, that is a very troubling trend overall because that's, that's what keeps things moving. That ubiquity of things is why things work well. And if everything that we use that works well is an attack vector now, I mean, why are we using anything?
Mm-hmm. You have to
That's all you got. Just
completely reshape, yeah, like you have to completely reshape the ecosystem of the digital world, and the world is not ready for that and couldn't handle it even if it was.
well, that's why quantum will save us all, right?
Quantum and our AI overlords. All hail AI overlords.
All hell the LLM or the small language models. Those are coming too.
Mm.
In our last story, we have a 50-50 Cowboy. It's a little good, potentially it could be a little concerning. The Labor Department, specifically the U.S. Labor Department, looks to pilot intaking unemployment claims for U.S. states. The U.S. Labor Department is planning to pilot to intake unemployment insurance claims directly for state agencies, potentially creating a national claims database. The initiative intends to streamline processing and improve fraud detection. But critics are warning that the added central repository raises cybersecurity, privacy, and surveillance risks. The pilot would expose sensitive personal data, including social security numbers and addresses, to a federal system currently not hardened for such volumes. This matters because public sector data pipelines are prime targets for attackers because of their high value and the difficulty of patching legacy systems. A national claims database would become a single point of failure that, if compromised, could expose millions of citizens' sensitive data and erode even more public trust in U.S. government functions. Well, I like the idea of streamlining, Cowboy. That's good. I like the idea of trying to be helpful. That's good. But yeah, maybe all your eggs in one basket, not the best idea.
What did Ronald Reagan say? Scariest sentence in the human language or the American English language is with the government. I'm here to help. Um,
Still rings true.
man, yeah, I am on the fence of this. Like the amount of fraud in that area is
Yeah, something
insanely
has to be
high.
done. Something
Yeah,
has to be done.
and
I agree.
and it varies from state to state because every state is different. And as a proponent of just personally smaller government and state rights, like that's its own double-edged sword, right? Some states put more money and are able to put more money in it than others, and the federal government should be in a position to help from a national security countrywide level. However, comma, the federal government is known to muck things up just as much, if not better, than most states. Right? So, on the positive side, like if they did it right, it could be a huge benefit. Now, how good do I feel about them doing it right? Right? Like, oh, it could be worse if done poorly. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, we fail at implementation, right? So,
but hey, look, to that point, before you go any further, that is not just a government problem. And I think our
sure.
first story even shows that, right? Like that's just a problem that intentions are good, teaming is good. It's execution that tends to be where the problem ends up being the most.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you put the money, manpower, and smarts into it, it will do great. However, I don't have a ton of faith that all that's going to happen, especially in today's belt tightening spending world. I just don't have faith that that's going to happen. So, um, but irregardless, the amount of fraud is so bad. Like at this point, I'm probably more pro do something to change the status quo of that, and we'll just see what happens. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's really it's sad that that's kind of the default state. It's like, yeah, let's just try it. Just throw something on the wall. Let's see if that one sticks, because it can't get much worse than where we already are.
That's right.
That's not a good place to be.
Can't
It
get much
really
worse.
is. Well, on that happy note, Cowboy, what else do you have for us tonight?
Hey, so I am running a Cyber Capture the Flag this Friday, next Friday, and the Friday after that. I forget the date, 24th, 27th. Shout out to Georgia Tech and various universities across Georgia that are participating. Boy, these are some really smart men and women getting after it. They've been hitting me up all day for hints, and I say I cannot be bought, but I will help you think about it in a different way. And I like to say, here's why this type of challenge is important, because here's how the bad guys and gals are using it. So shout out to them for getting after it. It's only going to get harder. So good luck. My parting thought is smile for the camera. Your driver's license just joined the dark web headshots collection. Congratulations. I am Cyber Cowboy. Stay frosty.
Well, Cowboy, your students there, you could always have them join the neural network, and maybe Nuria could provide them a little advice in one way or another. Just saying, just an idea. I'm the professor of CyberRisk. That's all the news for this week, and we'll talk again soon.
If you like this podcast, share it with your colleagues and friends. Your support is how we are able to continue to make this content. Thank you.